Okay, I think we're just about there, so let's go ahead and let's kind of kick things off. I know everybody is looking forward to the 5:15 giveaway, so maybe I can get you at least out of there in time to make it down to Hall A to pick that up. Okay, so you were in intro, obviously, to Swift for iOS. My name is Michael Crump. I'm on Twitter at mbcrump. A couple of you went to my previous session. I got to meet you again today, and you can see it's a great way to keep connected with me. I have a blog, and I blog about a whole variety of different things. And I work for Telerik, and I work in the developer relations group. I wanted to say congratulations to actually making it to the very last session. And you turned out to be more people than I expected. So excellent. So thank you for hanging around all this time. So kicking things off here, and I've just had this question as I was just standing here, was you know, when did all of these changes start happening with Swift? So Swift, obviously, you know, we'll get into, you know, about it being a new programming language, but WWDC 14 was when things really kicked off. You know, it happened back in June in San Francisco, and I was there as well. And while I was there, there was a lot of different mixed emotions from different types of developers. And so here is a screenshot of Apple's senior vice president of developer tools saying, hey, we have a brand new programming language. And you know, he gave these words like, okay, you know, Swift, it's, you know, it's fast, it's modern, it's safe, and it's interactive. And nobody that was there, and I was in the audience, nobody that was there had like any type of clue, like what exactly is Swift? What is this that we're getting into? And I remember, you know, for myself being an Objective-C developer, you know, all of the iOS developers kind of started looking like this, and it was like, really, are you serious? We've got to learn yet another programming language. But then on the other hand, we were kind of happy, you know, when we started hearing about stuff, you know, like type safety and things that's in more modern languages that we were going to be able to use. But then as I was looking through the Twitter stream and I was looking at what people were saying, there were other developers, and here, you know, obviously I've met a million different Java developers. They were doing this. They were taking their Objective-C books and they were throwing them right in the trash can. They're like, and it was something that, I mean, I was kind of, you know, the same way, you know, hey, I'm done with this thing. Objective-C, you know, ARC, automatic reference counting, all these things. I don't need this anymore. But there was a couple of things that we did find out though, over the course of time. And it was that, you know, the same APIs existed that were in Objective-C, that they still live today in Swift, except for there's just a different syntax of kind of, you know, getting there and getting to that point. The other thing that I found was that the community right now still speaks a lot of Objective-C. And the question that I get most frequently is, okay, now that you are, you know, now that Swift is out, you know, it's been out, you know, since June, so can I effectively, you know, not learn anything about Objective-C? And unfortunately, there's still a lot of documentation, and some of your first questions, if you do a search for them, you're going to get an answer in Objective-C. So just keep that in mind, that the community is still speaking a lot of Objective-C, but Swift is quickly picking up, and it's picking up more faster than I would have ever believed for it to have done. And the third thing that we really found out was that Swift is evolving. So from the WWDC videos, and you have to have a developer account even just to watch the videos. If you watch those videos and you try some of the code there, you'll find very quickly that a big majority of it doesn't actually work, which is kind of sad. So, and we have Swift now, there's 1.2 beta that was recently released. And as Swift keeps evolving, there's more changes that's been taking place. And if you look at some old like YouTube videos, especially from June and July and August, you'll find that a big majority of that code no longer works. So just keep that in mind with it. So I'm actually a very big fan, you know, of this show over tell. I've been setting where you have been a million times, and I've seen people that had a gazillion slides, with all kinds of various syntax. And what I like to do is within the first, 5-6 minutes of the talk, actually dive in and start looking at some things. And I did this primarily when I started looking at like Stanford's course. They had a course, and you can see here's the popularity ratings. So there's actually three lectures here. These 3 lectures have a lot of, pretty good bit of traction here with popularity. The rest of the 33 courses, you'll see there's nothing there. And I think a lot of that deals in with people don't really like to see tons and tons and tons of slides about, hey, here's how the syntax changed, here's how it was in Objective-C. You'd rather see some code. So this is really the it of my demos. I have a few more demos just to wrap things up. But from here, I'm 6 minutes in, and there's several demos that I just wanted just to start showing you, and just start showing you from the very, very beginning. So building some simple apps. Also with that, kind of the tour of Xcode. And if you've been playing with Xcode in the past, there may be some things that you haven't seen yet. So I'm going to kind of give a brief tour of that. We'll look at the Swift syntax, but we're not going to go so deep into it. I'm going to give you the playgrounds. Everything that you're going to see here is going to be freely available. Task is an application that I wrote that's in the App Store. And that's one of the ways that I learned the best, was actually looking at an app that was actually published. And the fourth thing that I really wanted to help prepare you for is Apple Watch. And I wrote an app for Apple Watch that's called an emoji dictionary. And I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes you'll hit an emoji and you won't have any clue what the thing actually means. I mean, I know like the smiley face, and that's like pretty much it. So I wrote an app, and the app will obviously, tell you what the definition of that emoji is, and it'll also transfer it back to your phone as well. So that's pretty much it. So from here, we're just going to dive in and start building some stuff. So let me go ahead and let me minimize Keynote, and I'm going to launch Xcode. So with the first glance at Xcode, and I saw 1 or 2 tweets when I first came up here, and it was like, newbie. How many people has actually used Xcode? Just so I can kind of get a glimpse of it. Okay, good. All right, so I will kind of tailor it mixed in between for what we're going to do here. So at the beginning, you're going to see, obviously, you can get started with the playground, and we're going to kick back into that in just a second. The playground is going to be this interactive area where you're going to be able to try some code samples without actually, spinning up a new project like you might have done in like, other IDEs like Visual Studio or Eclipse or Android Studio or what have you. And then there's obviously create a new project. Let's just go ahead and click on that. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see here, we're going to choose a template for your new project. So we're obviously interested in iOS. For those of you that haven't worked with this before, you have the option to write for Mac as well. So there's obviously the OS X tab here that you can select. But under Application, there's several different templates here. The one that I like to use primarily for lots of demos is the single view application. It's one of the most quickest applications to get started with. So I'm going to click Next, and I'm going to give this a product name, and I'm actually just going to call this one Devnexus. And I have sticky keys turned on. If you see this, you can see where I'm holding down Shift. And the reason I'm doing that is that I kind of have most of the demos and things that I'm going through. If you have Xcode running, you may be able to keep up with what I'm actually doing. So you'll know which modifier key that I actually pressed. So Devnexus is the product name here, and I'm going to just leave the organization name in, and you'll see that it creates a unique bundle identifier. This bundle identifier is net.microcrump.devnexus. The language here is interesting because you can choose to pick between either Swift or Objective-C. And obviously, that means that if you're wanting to write applications still in Objective-C, well, hey, you can still do that. So I'm going to go ahead and select Swift, and for devices, you can go iPhone, iPad, or obviously universal. We're just going to create a simple iPhone application. Core data is something that we may have time to look at in a future demo, and this is basically going to be using storing data on the phone. So we'll click Next, and from here, just looking for a directory, and if we want to put it under Git source control. So we have a project, and now I'm going to adjust the screen a tad here just because of the resolution that I'm running at. Xcode's kind of meant for Retina displays and things of that nature. So we have a brand new project that we've went ahead and we've created. A couple of things that you're going to first see once you first start this application